Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the VM Workshop 2021. Our next presenter is Marianne Eggett from Mainline. I'll turn it over to you, Marianne.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I don't think there's anybody. There might be some people still in the morning, and those of you in the evening. Thank you for sticking with us. Like Wilhelm, I miss everybody, seeing everybody in person. So we are all looking forward to next year and being able to be together. As Bill introduced me, I'm with Mainline Information Systems. I'm a solution consultant, and I help the Mainline customers implement new technology, and I primarily work with LinuxOne. With me today is Andy Hartman. Andy will be monitoring the chat to answer any questions as we go through the presentation today. I'm going to do a real quick introduction of who Mainline is because some of you might not know us. We have actually been in existence since 1989. We have grown to be a $1 billion business. And as you can see, we have a lot of partnerships, and I'm going to go through that also in a minute. I put this slide up I'm not going through it, but it's just something to see how broad our involvement is with technologies, within a different infrastructure, with different software. Here on the Z side, we're a little bit more focused. I am very proud to talk about us as a IBM Beacon Award for Most Innovation with our customer implementations, and we won that award 2 years in a row in 2020 and 2021 with blockchain and with operations automation. We also are a beta tester for IBM products and other vendors' products. Most recently, we have been a HyperProtect for virtual server tester. We've done multiple version testings, and Andy Hartman, who is monitoring the chat, was instrumental in this. And certainly, as you can see, we're involved with application modernization, ESP, with our customers too. Our services. So we have a strong services organization. As on the far left, you see infrastructure services, all the way to the far right, which is our managed services or staffing. So we can help be add-ons to your own data center staff with our skills of people. And our partnerships, as you can tell, we have partnerships, a broad range, and many of them are not even listed here, such as Velocity is one of our partners, and so is Canonical. As an example of the many partnerships that we have to help build total solutions for our customers' businesses. So, as I said, that was really quick introduction, and now is why LinuxOne is right for IBM Cloud Paks. So I'm glad I went after Wilhelm. Wilhelm has really set the stage for much of what I'm going to be talking about. If this is a recording and you're listening to it, I would recommend going to Wilhelm's presentation on the Red Hat OpenShift on C. So what are we going to talk about today? First is what are Cloud Paks? This might be a review for many of you. And then we'll talk about virtual servers versus containers. And then I'm going to talk about Cloud Paks on LinuxOne and an IBM incentive offering that has been hinted for the last 2 days. So first, let's talk about Cloud Paks. Sorry. So Red Hat OpenShift has been discussed is the foundation for IBM software products. but it is a planned integration of software products from IBM. And it's designed to accelerate the development, integrate. That means having your applications not having the responsibility to develop the communication between your multiple clouds. Instead, Red Hat OpenShift and the IBM products provide that integration to you. Manage the environment without tools such as Red Hat OpenShift. It is very difficult to manage a multi-cloud environment. So Red Hat OpenShift solves that for you. Now here, I like this slide because it really gives a visual of why you would want like a Red Hat OpenShift. You can do containers yourself. You can build it yourself. You can build the environment yourself. Many customers have done that. The challenge you have is maintaining that environment and continuing to build on that environment. And as it points out, the last three items in this slide, the encryption, well, it ends up being a do-it-yourself. Management and operations of the environment, you're building it on your own. Lifecycle management for version control, it's managed by you. So, I mean, this is just a subset of the capabilities that are brought with Red Hat OpenShift and are used in the Cloud Paks. So I think Wilhelm and a few other people have already introduced a similar slide to this, so I won't go through it. You can see here that there are 6 Cloud Paks today. And last year we had a Cloud Pak for applications also. That is now WebSphere Hybrid. We will be talking about that in a minute. And each one of these is a set of products that are bundled together in one SKU. That is one orderable SKU, and it gives you access to all the products. And let's take a look at the WebSphere Hybrid now. As you can see, there's another gray column here that's available standalone. So as in the past, we have ordered WebSphere network deployment. It's a standalone product with its own SKU. It's also now in this WebSphere Hybrid Edition. What this chart is pointing out is that all of these products can be purchased separately, and you can determine how many licenses you would need for your environment. Or you can order one SKU, a WebSphere Hybrid Edition, which comes with all of these products accessible. Now, you also notice that in the middle, there's a product called that Mono 2 Micro, which is only available under the WebSphere Hybrid Edition. And that particular product does or the WebSphere or the Cloud Foundation migration product requires OpenShift to run. So whether you're standalone or whether you're in the WebSphere Hybrid, you run it on the OpenShift product. Now, what I want to point out here is when you have these products, you can run them in a virtual server or you can run them in OpenShift. And that is the same whether you're purchasing the WebSphere Hybrid or you're running on the standalone. In this particular example, the Red Hat OpenShift is not included with the WebSphere Hybrid, so you would need to purchase it separately. And that will come into play here in some of my future slides. So what's important about the Cloud Paks summary? So first, it's really a a set of bundle of products. Cloud Pak itself is not a product. It's really a strategic set of products to meet that objective of to accelerate your development, to integrate your multi-clouds, to manage the environment, all of it running under on top of Red Hat OpenShift. Cloud Paks are primarily subscription pricing models. We're going to talk about that more later. Also, the Cloud Paks uses the OCP as its foundation to run the products, but the products can also run in virtual servers. The Cloud Pak itself is a comprehensive environment that is now production ready for your hybrid cloud environment. The last bullet, though, is that all products are not in Cloud Paks. And I'm going to give you an example here. The DB2, our DB2 that we understand, in this particular case, the DB2 Advanced Edition, is not in the Cloud Pak for data. It really is what's called a cartridge, and it is added to that. It's a separately priced product outside of the Cloud Pak for data. The Cloud Pak for data has the DB2 Data Warehouse product. So looking at each one of these Cloud Paks, you're going to see what products are included, and you have use of all those products that are bundled together, or which products like DB2 Advanced Edition that you need to purchase on top. So now I want to just take a step back, and this is a completely different direction. We're going to talk about virtual servers and containers, and this is Wilhelm did introduce this, so I'm going to also talk about this. And the first slide is talking about a completely x86 environment. So why are the x86 environment looking at containers versus keeping everything in virtual servers? And here's the reason, is that there's a significant waste in memory when you're running virtual servers versus containers. So if we look at the left part, we've got H virtual machines on a 16-core x86 server, 128 gig of memory. On the right, we have 33 containers, 33 versus 8 running on that same server. And the reason you can do that is that server memory, or that system memory, is shared in those containers. Going back on the left, highlighted in red, so 78% of that memory is wasted, which results in, and highlighted in green, is that 4 times throughput and half the response time, which is basically a response time improvement. So this sort of reminds me back a few years ago, I'm going to say 4 or 5 years ago, when Wilhelm talked about ZOS environment and why the containers is comparable to the ZOS environment and our address spaces. So in this goes on to explain that 4 times. So here we've got x86 OCP running 2,600 transactions per second at 3 millisecond speed. On the lower chart, we have just 627 transactions per second. And you see that the response time speed is 6.4 milliseconds. In the fine print at the bottom, is the explanation of this benchmark. So obviously, you take a look at this, and the x86 folks are saying, well, we really want to take a look at these containers because of the improvement in throughput we can get from a container environment. So now you have seen this slide too. This is a slide that says that if you run OpenShift on x86 and you run OpenShift on LinuxOne, you get 4 times better performance. And also, in this particular case, it was a 34% lower TCO. These are hot links, so if you want to take a look at that white paper, that application modernization with Red Hat OpenShift is a explanation of this particular slide, and I would encourage you to take a look at that. But I want to keep one thing in focus. So it takes 4 x86 cores to 1 IFL, and that's going to be important as we go forward. So in a summary, it's interesting, with the Red Hat OpenShift containers provide 4 times more throughput than a virtual server on x86. Then for OpenShift containers on Z, it provides a 4 times more throughput than x86 OCP containers. So if you are taking a virtual server workload on x86 and moving it to a container on Z, Red Hat OpenShift container on Z, you can see the tremendous improvement in throughput with that move. So now I'm going to take another little tangent here because Wilhelm mentioned this, which is the new LinuxOne announcement. This announcement actually came out May 4th, but IBM gave a wonderful, I think it was a couple-hour presentation to overview this announcement on May 25th. So what is this? So first, this is the family of Zs that is current today. We have the Linux environment and its orange color. And we have the LT1 and we have the LT2. So when we talk about this new announcement, it is changed to the LT2, not the whole box, but just some models of the LT2. And what is that? So here, the LinuxOne Express comes out with a small, medium, and large. The small is 135,000, and these are US dollars. For those of you that are outside of the US, you would talk to your local marketeer, either business partner or IBM. But what's important about this is it's pre-configured. It's a standard configuration. The thing that is different between the small, medium, and large is the number of IFLs and the real memory. With this, this is at a price point that is extremely competitive now against x86. And the Express stops at the 12 IFLs with the 768 gigabytes of memory. It's not that you can't upgrade, because you can certainly upgrade it all the way up to the 65 IFLs that are standard on the LT2. But what this is designed for is at an extremely leveraged price point to compete against departmental solutions or that small business that is looking at like a Cloud Pak for data or webs for hybrid and looking for a cost-effective environment. And this is it. So we're going to look at some financial comparisons here. But I want to start with talking about software, how IBM prices their software. And it's priced in a number of different ways. First, by authorized user, which, everybody understands that, you would buy a particular software product to be used by a particular person. What we are focusing on is by core. And historically, on this first bullet is something called processor value unit pricing, or PVU pricing. That has been for decades how IBM price their software products. What was a challenge to us on the Z side is that it was a weighted core measurement, which meant that the Z core would pay more than an x86 core. Well, back 20 years ago, that might have made sense. Our processors were much faster than Intel processors, and there really wasn't a virtualized environment. But nowadays, the VMware is probably in every customer shop. Everybody runs their x86 on a virtualized environment, and so do we. And so it makes more sense now to go to that second bullet, which is that virtual processor core, the VPC, which is now a core for core. So an x86 core or a Z core or IFL, it's the same cost, which is wonderful. The next thing I want to highlight is a change in licensing models. So there used to be a license versus a subscription. Now we are very familiar with subscriptions because our Linux, and the Red Hat, the SUSE, Canonical, they do subscription model pricing. So the price I paid for the software last year is going to be the price I pay for it this year. It's the same price. Versus this licensing. Licensing was a pay upfront, a big sum, big lump of dollars, and then have a small maintenance fee in the years following that. So your annual maintenance fee was a very small amount of money, and that's how it was. What's good for us is that IBM's server software is now migrating to a subscription model with VPC pricing. And that is great for us because that helps to make the business case for the LinuxOne. So we're going to go through a couple of examples here. And first, let me introduce you to the x86 side. So the x86 side, I'm looking at one Lenovo 40-core, 1 terabyte server. And you'll see it at the bottom. I highlight it with, it's got VMware, it's got Red Hat, it's got 3 years of maintenance. All of this is at $93,000, which is a very good price for a server. This is a 3-year study. And what I wanted to do was take a look at it as a single server. So let's take a look at a LinuxOne to a single server. Then 3 servers with 120 cores total and 3 terabytes of memory total, or 9 servers with 360 cores and 9 terabytes total. And you can see the prices here. We have 333,000 for the 1 server, and that's with Red Hat OpenShift. This is a 3-year price of 240,000 just for the OpenShift. We have about $1 million for the 3 servers and almost $3 million for the 9 servers. So let's take a look at now what the LinuxOne environment looks like. So we're going to look at this WebSphere ND. So this is that standalone WebSphere ND that I pointed out earlier. We're looking only at subscription pricing here. I put the SKUs here. You can see that this is that virtual processor core. So that's the new pricing. A core is equal to a core. x86 core is equal to a IFL. And I point out here that 100% of this is WebSphere, 100% of it. So here is the comparison. The first column to the left, you see that's the column that we just looked at for the x86 side. And now we're comparing it to the LinuxOne. And remember I talked about the 4-to-1, so 4 x86 cores to 1 IFL. So we're doing a 4-to-1 consolidation here. So we've got the 40 cores goes to 10 IFLs. Now, the first box here with the 10 IFLs here, that is a LinuxOne Express. The second one below it with the 30, that is a LinuxOne LT2, and the bottom one is a LinuxOne LT1. What you see is the savings that if we do a LinuxOne, almost 200,000 compared to the x86 environment, almost 400,000 with an LT2, and with the LT1, it's 1.8 million difference. So now let's take a look at the webs for hybrid. What's interesting here is now it's the same thing, but we've got a more expensive product. It's more expensive, but as you remember, it holds a whole slew of products that they can run. So it actually, in the long run, probably isn't more expensive. But as a SKU, it really helps our business case, because now we're about, on the LinuxOne Express, it's about $400,000 less. On the LT2, it's 1.5 million. And look at the LT1, it's $5 million difference in price. So I also wanted to take a look at a Cloud Pak for data and what that difference was. And you can see here, it's the same amount. It's about 400,000 difference for the Express model, about $1 million difference for the LT2, and 3.5 million for the LT1. And you think about it, we know that the Z environment lasts very effectively in year 4 and 5. And the savings that you will see in year 4 and 5 is just significantly more than what I'm presenting here. So that is sort of a financial view of why a Cloud Pak is better on the LinuxOne. Before I leave that, I wanted to talk about, this has been mentioned here in the last day and a half, about the Red Hat OpenShift Soft Bundle. So first, Wilhelm went through this very nicely. I'm not going to go through it, but I thought this is a nice graphic presentation of the capabilities and functions and features within the OpenShift environment as a discussion point, and some customer comments about the value that they see with it. And the point is how complete it is in a environment to support the applications. So let's take a look at this Red Hat OpenShift Soft Bundle. And what's important is you have 3 IFLs free of charge. And I highlighted that in the red. Of course, there's a number of caveats with that. So is when you are buying 6 IFLs, 3 of those IFLs are going to be for your control plane. With the control plane, you do not have to pay for Red Hat OpenShift for those control planes. But in addition, IBM is offering you 3 free IFLs to run those control planes in this bundle. So it also will come with memory. So I would highly recommend, just talking to your either your business partner rep or your IBM client rep, and ask them about this, because this is available to either a LinuxOne or if you've got any Z14s or Z15s, this can be a Linux on Z solution also. There are 4 slides here. I'm not going to go through them, but if you take a look at the top right corner, you can see that this particular slide is for KVM and a new, they call it a new build, but it's either as a new LinuxOne box. I have 4 of them. I have 4 of them here. And again, the 3 IFLs are free for the control plane. And you can take a look at these later, and you can read the fine print there at the bottom. So I've included this in the slide. So, but I wanted to, talk about this try and buy. So, to encourage you to consider running the Red Hat OpenShift in your environment. Certainly it could be for your own development, or it could be for a Cloud Pak, is a IBM try and buy. And this is a 90-day trial. You get, 1 to 6 IFLs can be installed. And they'll activate memory on loaner. The Red Hat OpenShift can be on loader. You heard about the IBM Cloud Infrastructure Center in a prior presentation. That could be a part of it also, and ZVM. So you have 90 days to try out this environment on your Z, whether it's a LinuxOne or whether it's a Z 14 or 15. So with that, I just wanted to provide some links to some interesting items here. Mainline, we have a number of blogs here that you can peruse. The middle is the Red Hat OpenShift. There's some installation release notes and some architecture white papers that might be of interest to you. And then on the bottom is a Kubernetes for Dummies, which is a nice guide to help get you acquainted with Kubernetes if you would are a beginner and want to get to know the Kubernetes container environment. Are there any questions? Then I think that wraps it up. Bill?
Thank you, Marianne.